What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Boulanger. Up next, sacked. Let's talk. The Baltimore Ravens lost in a demoralizing fashion to the Detroit Lions last night. And there's many factors. And I do mean many factors to why the Baltimore Ravens lost this game. Not just Lamar and his 7 sacks. Not just the offensive line. Not just Derrick Henry and his fumble. Not just the defense and their inability to stop the run or the pass. Not just poor play calling from Zach Orr and then also Todd Monken. And not just seemingly not having his team really ready to go in John Harbaugh. But this team lost as a collective. So when I talk about it, I'm going to pull each part off and talk about it individually. But when I talk about these 7 sacks, right, a lot of people are going to highlight this. And I'm one who said that Lamar Jackson would have to cape up in order for the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Detroit Lions. I thought surely that the Detroit Lions were going to be hard to stop for the reasons that we saw last night. I knew that the Baltimore Ravens didn't have a pass rush. I knew that Jared Goff, without any pressure, could be accurate. I knew that they had high-level talent at wide receiver, running back, tight end. I knew all of those things. So I didn't think that this defense in particular, especially without Meta BK, could stop the Detroit Lions. And that was true. But I also didn't foresee this team getting 7 sacks. And if I can be honest, now some of you are going to stop the video and turn it off right here. But a lot of times we don't like to say anything about Lamar other than he was great. He was excellent. And then we can begin to point fingers around him, what failed him around him, offensive line, Derrick Henry, wide receivers, tight ends, whatever. But a minimum of 4 of those sacks last night was on Lamar Jackson. Yes, somebody has to get pressure. Yes, somebody has to be a weak link in the blocking scheme. Yes, somebody has to be there to collect the sack. But 4 of those were on Lamar Jackson. And it's something that we've seen before. And I think it's a byproduct of the Baltimore Ravens not having a real offensive system. What do I mean? You see, when the Baltimore Ravens have to rely on Lamar Jackson to always be in action mode, always be in cape up mode, always looking for Lamar Jackson to escape, evade the rush, go backwards and go forwards and go left and right and then throw a dime down the field. When that's the offense that we rely on, that's not offense. There's no system to it. That's why the Baltimore Ravens can get off track pretty quickly. That's why we can stumble at the start of a game, because we don't really have a system. We have a player who's unique and dynamic and elite. But when Lamar Jackson always has to be action Jackson, we're in trouble. You see, because what teams have figured out that if we can maintain Lamar Jackson, this Baltimore Ravens team is easy to manage. Let me explain. I said before the season started that this is how teams are going to play Lamar. They're going to put a spy on him, which helps maintain his ability to not evade the rush, but break, contain, and gash for big yards. You saw what last night? A spy on Lamar Jackson. I told you that teams would stop blitzing as much and just try to get home with the rush. What did you see last night? Not a whole lot of heavy blitzing, but they were able to make life trouble for Lamar Jackson and the offense with their front 4. And so this offensive line, I've said this 100 times at this point, it's average at their best. Not average at best, but at their best, this is a collection of average offensive linemen. It just is. And so when the offense is built on immediate pressure up the middle, let me get out the pocket, somebody's coming around the edge, let me go left, let me go right, let me keep my eyes downfield, right? See, Lamar Jackson was in action mode all night long. which is what caused him to always be holding on to the ball or continually holding on to the ball, looking downfield for a play. And so holding on to the ball, moving left, moving right, trying to move forward, trying to juke in the backfield, all those kind of things led to 4 of those sacks. And I don't know if I'm going to have time over the next day or so to pull those 4 sacks and show you what I'm talking about, but I'm sure there is going to be somebody somewhere on the internet breaking down the 7 sacks, but 4 of those were on Lamar Jackson by just the fact of holding the ball too long. And the reason why he holds the ball too long is 2 reasons, actually. 1, nobody that we have gets immediate separation. The best that we have at getting separation is probably going to be Zay, but they were rolling coverage to his side. That's why he only ended up with 2 catches for 13 yards. And because we don't have a real system is the reason why we don't cross the spy's face. If you take your wide receiver or your tight end and just run across the spy's face, you're going to take his attention for a second or 2. You could even run the defender who's defending the wide receiver or the tight end. You could actually rub him off by their own spy. If you had a system, if you had a strategy, if you had a scheme, you could literally do that. It didn't take that long to see that they were spying him. So why not scheme it up? Why not put it in place? So the first reason why Lamar Jackson holds onto the ball too long is because they don't have an offensive system, something that they can rely on. And I'll give you a point of reference here in a second. The second reason why Lamar Jackson holds onto the ball too long is because he's learned over his 7 years as a full-time starter that if he doesn't make the play, it doesn't get made. And that's the truth. So he's always in it's all on me. I talked about this 2 years ago when they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. I said the Baltimore Ravens' main problem is it's too much Lamar Jackson, meaning they're reliant too much on him to be the only playmaker. You see, when you look at game 1 from this year, when you look at game 2 from this year, you saw a lot of Lamar Jackson having to run around and evade a rush and then throw the ball downfield. And we get excited about the explosive play. Yeah, there were times in all 3 games where he could dime it up from the pocket, for sure. But a lot of the times, I think he's already in let me get out of the pocket mode. You saw him last night. Instead of stepping up into the pocket, sometimes he would get out of the pocket or he would go further back. You see, think about it. If I'm 7 to 10 yards back in the pistol or the shotgun, when I start backing up and I'm 5, 7, 10 more yards behind, I now have to throw it anywhere from 15 to 20 yards just to get it back to the line of scrimmage, instead of stepping up into the pocket. So I don't think Lamar Jackson is trusting his offensive line, and nor should he. This offensive line has not shown anything this year for him to trust, which is also what causes him to be in action mode. Got to make a play, which is, if we think about it, think about the Buffalo game from the playoffs last season when Tyler Linderbaum, the offensive line, who I said he cannot trust, when he hikes the ball offline, instead of Lamar Jackson just getting on the ball and covering it up, what was he in? He was in action mode. Let me pick it up. Let me run around. I still got to make a play. Instead of, you know what? Let me get on this ball, take this loss, and live for another play. That's how the strip sack fumble came, basically, in that Buffalo game, right? Which turned into a turnover. And so, again, the offensive line isn't good. And honestly, they haven't played good this year. Nobody along the offensive line is playing quality football throughout the course of an entire game. I'm not saying play elite. I know these guys aren't elite. I'm simply saying no one along the offensive line has played consistent quality this season, which is also what's wrong with the running game. And we'll talk about that in another video. But being sacked 7 times is my biggest takeaway from this game, because it's an increase of a loss of trust. It's a decrease of trusting what you see. And the coaching, the play calling didn't help him either. Because if I see this offensive line is playing below average football, then why would I keep calling plays that have an intermediate to deeper route versus shorter, quicker routes? I'm not talking about those stupid wide receiver screens that we never really get off. I'm talking about something simply 5, 7, 10 yards, slants, curls, something like that. This is a bad offense. It's a bad defense. And in truth, it's a bad special teams. Yes, Tyler Lube has been good kicking the ball for field goals, but he has not been good kicking the ball on kickoffs. But again, that's another video. I told you I'm going to take each layer apart. But as far as the sacks, it is on the offensive line, but it's also on Lamar Jackson. But you know why I think also, now that I'm really thinking about it, why he doesn't really throw the ball away? I don't think he trusts the coaching. I don't think he trusts the play calling from drive to drive, down to down, to be consistent enough to put him in a winning, successful situation. So the pressure is on, so I got to make the play right now because the play calling. Now, he will never say this. I'm telling you what I pick up, what I see, what I'm perceiving as a spectator. You see, when a play starts offensively, I don't look at the route concepts first. I look at the snap to where the quarterback is going. And so when you watch Lamar Jackson, if you just focus on what is the quarterback going to do, regardless of the success of the play completion, if it's a run play or whatever, what is the quarterback doing? And when you watch Lamar last night, he was in full-blown action mode, and you could absolutely tell he did not trust what was in front of him. And again, nor should he be trusting it. And in truth, guys, this offensive line, there's nothing we can do. This is a byproduct of a lack of investment. The offensive line is. You have a 4th rounder, 5th rounder in Andrew Voorhees. You have a 4th rounder in Daniel Falele. Rosengarten is the only 2nd round investment or higher that they've made in 7 seasons. Did you understand what I just said? Granted, there are other players around the league who have come from 3rd, 4th, 5th rounders and they play elite ball. But we don't have those guys in-house. Roger Rosengarten is good, but he probably needed a veteran to stay along beside him. See, here's what's troubling me, if we really can just call it out. They say we want to get younger, right? But in getting younger, you also get less experience. They let Kevin Zeitler walk out of the door, and this dude is still playing solid football. What would the right side of the offensive line look like if it was from the center over to Roger Rosengarten, if it was Linderbaum, Zeitler, and Rosengarten? Could he provide some veteran leadership on that right side of the offensive line? You see, granted, they drafted Emory Jones, 3rd rounder, who played tackle and was definitely going to slot in at a guard position, but he was hurt early. And in truth, Emory Jones wouldn't have had a real opportunity to compete anyway, because they had already locked in on Voorhees, who's been one of the worst guards in the league. His tape shows it, and the numbers show it. So there's nothing we can do with this offensive line. There's not enough trades in the middle of a season to improve this offensive line drastically. There's nobody on the roster behind these 2 guys, because Ben Cleveland ain't it. Because if Ben Cleveland was it, they would already have turned to him. Not even sure why they brought him back if there was no real opportunity to compete. And so, man, we're in trouble. I think that this is going to be one of the high sack seasons for Lamar Jackson over the last probably 3 seasons. And unless we can find some resolutions, fix the blocking scheme. Because here's the thing, dude. If the blocking isn't good, change the scheme. But hey, the 7 sacks, man, too many. Route concepts have to get tighter, shorter. It can't just be hero ball, because that's not a system. It's how you make plays when you need to make plays, but dadgum, every pass play shouldn't be a situation where a play is needed. You should just throw the ball, deliver the ball, catch the ball. It shouldn't have to be running around, scrambling, dipping and dodging in order to get a playoff. So that's my take, man, so far. There's more to come, man. I got about 5 thoughts on this whole game. This is my first. I'm your guy, Boulanger. We're out.